The most popular budgeting advice on the internet is costing you thousands of dollars every single year. I'm talking about the 50-30-20 rule. The one every finance guru, every blog, every TikTok tells you to follow. 50% on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on savings. Sounds reasonable, right? Except it was invented in 2005, before smartphones, before streaming subscriptions, before inflation hit grocery bills like a freight train. The world has changed. Your budget needs to change with it. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why this rule is failing people in 2026 and what to do instead. Let me be clear. The 50-30-20 rule isn't terrible. It's a starting point. The problem is that millions of people treat it as gospel, and when their real life doesn't fit those percentages, they feel like failures. They give up on budgeting entirely. Here's why it breaks down. The rule says 50% on needs: housing, food, transportation, insurance. But according to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American household now spends 63% of their income on needs alone. Housing costs have surged 31% since 2020. Groceries are up over 25%. So right out of the gate, you're already 13 percentage points over budget on needs, and you haven't even gotten to wants or savings yet. The 30% for wants? That used to mean eating out and entertainment. Now it also includes 6 streaming subscriptions, a phone plan, cloud storage, gym memberships, and app subscriptions you forgot you're paying for. The average American spends over $300 a month on subscriptions they don't fully use. And the 20% savings target? Most people can't even get close. The personal savings rate in the US dropped to 3.8% last year. That's not 20, that's barely 4. So if you've been trying the 50-30-20 rule and it hasn't worked, it's not you, it's the rule. Senator Elizabeth Warren popularized this rule in her 2005 book, All Your Worth. And to her credit, it was a useful simplification for that era. But she designed it for a very specific economic reality, one where the median home took about 28% of income, where healthcare premiums were a third of what they are now, and where subscriptions meant a newspaper and cable TV. The rule also assumes a specific income level. If you're making $40,000 a year in a high cost of living city, spending only 50% on needs is mathematically impossible. You'd have $20,000 for rent, utilities, food, transportation, and insurance for the entire year. That's $1,600 a month. Good luck finding an apartment for that in most major cities. On the flip side, if you're earning $200,000 a year, saving only 20% is actually leaving money on the table. You could save 40 or 50% and still live extremely well. One-size-fits-all budgeting doesn't work because your life isn't one-size-fits-all. Here's what I recommend instead, and it's simpler than what you're probably doing now. I call it the reverse budget, and the split is 70-20-10. But the order is flipped. Step 1. The moment your paycheck hits your account, automatically move 20% into savings and investments. Not at the end of the month, at the beginning. This is called paying yourself first, and it's the single most powerful financial habit you can build. Step 2. 10% goes to your future self. This is your debt payoff accelerator, your emergency fund builder, or your wealth building fund. If you have debt, this 10% attacks it. If you're debt-free, this goes into a brokerage account or retirement fund on top of your 20%. Step 3. The remaining 70%? That's your life money. Needs and wants combined. You don't need to agonize over whether a coffee is a need or a want. You've already handled savings and investing. Spend the 70% however you need to. Why does this work better? Because it removes the guilt. You're not budgeting every dollar into categories. You're protecting your savings first and then living on the rest. It works on $40,000 a year, and it works on $200,000. And here's the data that backs it up. A 2025 study from Vanguard found that people who automate their savings at the start of the month save an average of 40% more than people who try to save what's left over. 40% more. Just by changing the order. Let me walk you through exactly how to set this up. You can do this in about 15 minutes tonight. First, open your bank app and look at your last 3 months of income. Take the average. Let's say it's $4,000 a month after taxes. 20% of 4,000 is 800. Set up an automatic transfer of $800 to a high-yield savings account the day after payday. Right now, accounts like Marcus or Wealthfront are paying over 4% APY. Your money is literally making money while you sleep. 10% is 400. If you have credit card debt, set this as an extra payment toward your highest interest card. If you're debt-free, set up an auto-invest into a low-cost index fund. We'll cover exactly which ones in a future video. That leaves you 2,800 for everything else. Rent, groceries, gas, that overpriced oat milk latte. I'm not judging. The point is, you don't have to track it obsessively because the important money is already handled. Now, if 20% feels impossible right now, start with 10 or even 5. The habit matters more than the number. A Fidelity study found that people who start at just 5% automatic savings increase their rate by an average of 1.5% per year. Within 3 years, most are saving 15 to 20% without even feeling it. The key is automation. Willpower is a limited resource. Systems are not. Let me give you 3 variations depending on where you are in life. If you're in your 20s with student loans, try 60, 25, 15. 60% for living, 25% toward debt destruction, and 15% into savings. Attack that debt aggressively while you have fewer expenses. If you're in your 30s building a family, the 70-20-10 works perfectly. You need that 70% for living costs, but you're still protecting your future. If you're 40 plus playing catch up on retirement, shift to 65-25-10. Compress your lifestyle slightly and max out retirement contributions. At this stage, compound interest needs bigger contributions to do its magic before 65. And one more thing that no budgeting rule tells you, do an expense audit every 90 days. Pull up your bank statement, sort by recurring charges. I guarantee you'll find at least $50 to $100 a month in subscriptions, services, or fees you forgot about. Cancel them. Redirect that money into your automatic savings. I did this last quarter and found $140 in subscriptions I wasn't using. That's nearly $1,700 a year. Redirect it into an index fund that's over $50,000 in 20 years. So let's bring this together. The 50-30-20 rule was built for a different era. In 2026, costs have shifted, and that framework creates more guilt than results. Instead, pay yourself first with the reverse budget. Automate 20% to savings before you spend a dollar. Put 10% toward debt or wealth building. Live on the rest without the spreadsheet anxiety. Start tonight. Set up one automatic transfer. That single action puts you ahead of 90% of Americans. If you want to see exactly how to put that 20% to work, which index funds to buy, which accounts to open, I'm covering that in the next video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it, and drop a comment below. What budgeting method has actually worked for you? I read every single one, and the best answers might make it into a future video. I'll see you in the next one.